Hi guys, I'm Stefan. Welcome back to another lesson in my level 4 lesson book within the beginner piano course for solo learners. In this video, we're going to learn Andante by Bertini from opus 29, number 11. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already done so, and if you like what you see, give this video a thumbs up. Also, I offer online piano lessons. If you're looking for one, there's going to be information below. And if you'd like to get the level 4 lesson book or join the course and watch all the videos, there's going to be links to that below too. This chapter is about tuplets and about the new key of F sharp minor. And this piece is perfect for both of those since the entire pattern is made up of tuplets and it's in the key of F sharp minor. Now, besides these two very handy attributes, it's also a beautiful, beautiful etude, and I think you're all going to enjoy playing it. It's extremely fluid, and since it's an etude which is based on one specific pattern, and that pattern repeats in every single bar, it makes it super difficult to play, because if that pattern is not flowing freely, and if even a little bit of tension is creeping in, that's going to get amplified as you get throughout the piece, and it's going to be very difficult to keep it even from beginning to end. So as I said, we are in the key of F sharp minor, which is the relative minor of A major. So we've got three sharps: F sharp, C sharp, and G sharp. Don't forget those. Of course, it's very useful to play an F sharp minor scale before you play the piece, and an arpeggio as well, to really tune into the key of F sharp minor. It says andante, so walking speed, and because the notes are so short, even walking speed is going to feel quite fast. Now it's in 2/4, so 2 quarter note crotchet beats in every bar. And as you can see, each beat is a sextuplet. So we've got 6 16th notes instead of the usual 4. And as we learned about this in the previous lesson, a sextuplet is basically 6 notes in the time of 4. So each of these 16th notes is going to be faster to fit into the space of 4. Now, interestingly, you can see that the first one is a rest. And although we don't have a bracket above the notes, it is a sextuplet. So the first note is a rest, and then we have 5 more 16th notes, which basically means 6 to a beat, and the left hand is going to play that first note in the sextuplet. And we've got 2 sextuplets in each bar. Now the rhythm is very simple and it's the same all the way through. So basically the left hand starts, and you can count it like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 2 times 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And just think about that beat. Bum, 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 bum. Now I'm going to show the technical part in the first bar, and then we're just going to go through chord by chord, because the melody, the technical part, and the rhythm is the same throughout. The only thing that changes is the harmony and dynamics. So the accented notes are in the left hand. We start with an octave. 1, 2, 1, 2. And these are the notes we need to accent, but they have a tenuto mark on them, but also a staccato. So we can't linger too long on them. They still need to be short, but emphasized. So the accompaniment notes in the right hand, the actual sextuplets, they are the ones that need to go quiet, and we need to emphasize these notes at the top and the bottom. Now, obviously, there is hand crossing happening here because the right hand is stationary in the middle and the left hand is going across the right hand continuously. And we need to time this cross so that it happens naturally in kind of a circular shape instead of abrupt movements, which would really hinder fluency and the flow of the piece. So think of it as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Really timing the hand, feeling the pulse, so that it's almost like the ticks of a pendulum, just going left and right, or the ticks of a metronome. The right hand is playing these chords, which are basically all 3-note broken chords, and it goes up and down, and it's the same all the way through. So you need to look at the first 3 notes, and that's the whole bar. Now here, all we need is just a rounded motion, so some wrist circles to make sure it's smooth. Nice legato, loose wrist, accuracy, and make sure you don't sustain too much your note, so you get a clean legato instead of 4. So no sustaining, no detaching, a smooth legato. And when we got all of these technical bits in place, then we put it together. This pedal goes down at the beginning of each bar. You can see the sign there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then you can already start seeing how the melody is shaping, that we're going to hear the constant movement of the left hand. And that's basically the technical part in the piece. The only other thing you need to watch out for is dynamics, to make sure we do our crescendos, our quiet parts, and you can do a lot more than notated in the etude. You can add your own dynamics to make it more expressive and more unique to your own taste. So the first bar is an F sharp minor. So A, C sharp, F sharp, and the left hand crosses. The left hand is always going to play the top note of the right hand chord. Very important to note, because then you don't need to read it. You just know it's the same note as what the right hand played. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, same note. Second bar is the same, but with an A on the top. And then F sharp in the left hand and B, D, G sharp. And so an E sharp. Then the same F sharp comes back. And now just an F sharp in the bottom, and the right hand is moving into the bass clef. So an F sharp minor. And now an E sharp, and G sharp, B, C sharp, very kind of tight position. Be careful there so it sounds even. And back to F sharp minor. Now we go towards different harmonies. C sharp in the bottom, so C sharp major, E, G sharp, C sharp. And C sharp again, but F sharp, A, D. Back to C sharp major. And now D sharp, F sharp, B sharp. And then we're crossing over now, this time to a chord, B sharp and G sharp. So very careful here that you catch that note. It's quite tricky because the two pinkies are fighting for the same note. Then we go on, this gets repeated again. And then the third time it gets repeated, the left-hand notes get a little bit more funky. Now, F sharp, A, D, and C sharp, D, a dissonance. Now, an F double sharp, be very careful with a double sharp, so G technically, but it's an F double sharp, A sharp, and D sharp. C sharp, D sharp. C sharp, E sharp. So these four bars are a little bit tricky. Make sure you really look at the notes, especially those accidentals. It can be quite easy to mistaken them for the wrong note. And then the melody comes back again. So F sharp, but this time forte with anger. And this time, we go to a different harmony again, B in the left hand, and F sharp, G sharp, D. Now C sharp, so an F sharp minor in second inversion. And F sharp, G sharp, C sharp, and C sharp major, which is the dominant of F sharp minor, and back to F sharp minor. So we repeated our 4-bar theme from the start, and then we go back to F sharp minor again and repeat this whole section with the B in the bottom. C sharp, C sharp major, and the final ending is going to be a big octave, F sharp in the left, F sharp, C sharp, A, F sharp, and finishing on the F sharp octave. So what happened here? The F sharp stayed there all the way through. We had an F sharp minor first with an F sharp, then with a C sharp, then we came down to a second inversion F sharp minor with an A, then a first inversion F sharp minor and F sharp. And that's it. So the harmonies, it's quite a long piece, but there's a lot of repetition, especially of that 4-bar phrase, the starting theme that comes back quite a few times. So watch out for these sections. Try to highlight where do you see that 4-bar section or phrase returning. Maybe mark it with orange or blue, and then you'll see instantly that that's the section that's being repeated. Or call it A section or theme A, and then we've got theme B. I didn't want to put these into the score to allow you to discover these things, to see how quickly you can recognize different sections and different chord patterns. And very important to play without the pedal in the beginning to really hear that connection between the two hands, the complete unity of the left hand moving across the right hand, to hear the legato, to hear any hiccups or hesitations between the two hands. And once you're happy with the sound without the pedal, then you put in the pedal. It's very tempting to play with the pedal right from the start because it sounds so much nicer, but it can mask some of the mistakes which you might not notice, and then those mistakes can really exaggerate as you move throughout the piece.